My dear students, welcome to Prudence Coaching. Today we will start with the second part of active passive voice, and today we will provide you with the active passive ARTI, that is the shortcut to solve active and passive voice with the help of song. Students, this is the first time in YouTube that we will provide you a song and you are going to solve the question of active passive within few seconds with the help of this song. So students, let's start. My dear students, before learning how to change an imperative sentence in active to its passive, we will learn what is an imperative sentence. An imperative sentence is a command or a request or an advice. For example, help the poor, shut the door, open your book. These all sentences are imperative sentence. My dear students, we will start with request. Students, if you find the word please in the beginning of the sentence of active voice, then you will be sure that the statement or the sentence given to you is in active. To change a request in active voice to its passive, we will always start with you are requested to. After writing you are requested to, we will get back to active voice. Then we will copy the words given after please from it. So our final answer will become you were requested to give me a pen. Similarly, please put OWF of your shoes. That means please open your shoes. To convert it into passive voice, as this is a request, we will start with you are requested to, then copy the words given in the active voice after please, that is put off your shoes. So our final answer in passive voice becomes you are requested to put off your shoes. Now we will start with advice. Advice generally means any kind of suggestion, and in active voice we always start with the verb. After verb we have the object of the verb. Our first example under active voice is help the poor, and now if we are asked to convert it into passive voice, we will start with the object of the verb. Here the verb is help and the object of the verb is the poor, so we have to start the sentence in passive voice with the object of the verb, that is the poor. Next we have to write should be, which is constant. Next we have to write the V3 form or past participle form of the verb help, which becomes helped. Now students, if we see the next example, that is listen to your teacher. Here the verb is listen and your teacher is the object. So in passive voice we have to start with the object, that is your teacher. So your teacher will come in the first. Next we have to write should be, which is constant. Next we have to write the V3 form of the given verb in the active voice. Listen becomes listened, that is LISTENED in the past participle form. As student we are given an preposition after the verb, that is to, so we have to write the same preposition in the passive voice after the verb, that is the V3 form of the verb. So our final answer becomes your teacher should be listened to. Now we will start with the comments. Comment generally means any order given by someone to somebody. For example, switch off the fan, mark him well. Students, now if we are asked to convert this or change this active voice into passive, then we will start with the word let, let. Next we have to write the object of the verb. Here verb is switch in the first sentence and the object of the verb is the fan. So after let we will write the object of the verb, that is the fan. Next we have to write be after the object, and next we have to write the V3 form or the past participle form of the given verb. Here the verb is switch, which becomes switched in the past participle form, and after switch, as we have a preposition, we have to write the same preposition after the V3 form of the verb. Similarly, in the second sentence which is given in active voice, mark him well. Here verb is mark, him is the object of the verb mark, and well is an adverb. We have to change it in passive voice. For this we have to write let first. Next we have to write the object of the verb, that is him here, and we have to write be, and next we have to write the past participle form of the verb mark, which becomes marked, MARKED, and as we have a adverb at the end, we have to write the adverb, same adverb after the past participle form of the verb. So our final sentence becomes let him be marked well. Our next example is solve the sum. Here solve is the verb and the sum is the object of the verb. So to change it into passive voice, we will start with let. After let, we will write the object of the verb. Here the object of the verb is the sum. Next we have to write beb and the v3 form of the given verb in active voice. In active voice, the verb given is solve, which becomes solved solved in past participle form or v3 form. So our final answer is let the sum be solved. Our next example under comment is give me the chocolate. Student, here give is the verb and me is the indirect object and the chocolate is the direct object. Why students me is indirect and the chocolate is direct? Because if we asked question to the verb that what is given, then we will get the answer the chocolate. So the chocolate is here direct object. Now if we are to change this sentence into passive voice, as usual we will start with the let. Next we have to write the direct object, not the indirect object. Here the direct object is the chocolate. After the chocolate we will write beb and the v3 form of the given verb in active. Give becomes given in v3 or past participle form. After that we have to write to, which is an infinitive. After that we have to write the indirect object me. So our final answer is let the chocolate be given to me. Now students, we will learn these sentences with modal auxiliaries, how to change them from active to passive. Some of the example of modal auxiliaries are can, could, may, might, shall, should, must. Students, always remember that if there is a modal auxiliary in the question, you need to write the same modal auxiliary in the answer. Now we will see the structure of changing an active voice with modal auxiliary into passive voice. First, you need to write the object of the verb given in the active voice. Next, you will write the same modal auxiliary given in active voice. Next, you need to write beb and the v3 form or the past participle form of the verb given in active voice. Let's see some of the examples. Our first example under active voice with a modal auxiliary is I can play guitar. I is a subject here, can is a modal auxiliary, play is a verb, and the object of the verb play is guitar. Students, as I said before, you need to start with the object of the verb. So our object of the verb in active voice is guitar. In passive voice we will start with guitar. After writing guitar we will copy the same modal auxiliary given in active voice. So here it is can. After can we will write beb. After writing b we will write the v3 form or the past participle form of the main verb given in active voice. Play becomes played, played in past participle or v3 form. As there is a subject in active voice, this subject will become our object. So the objective form of I is me, which we have written. Before me we need to write a preposition by. So our final answer in passive voice is guitar can be played by me. Our next example of an active voice with a modal auxiliary is the university may publish the result today. Here the university is the subject, may is a modal auxiliary, publish is a verb, the result is the object of the verb, and today is the adverb of time because today is showing the time of the verb. Now we need to change this sentence into passive voice. For this, as I said, student, you need to start with the object of the verb. Here the object of the verb is the result. So you will start with the result. After writing the result, you will copy the same modal auxiliary given in active voice, that is may. After may, you will add beb, and next you need to write the v3 form or the past participle form of the verb publish, which becomes published, published. Next you need to write the preposition by, and after writing preposition by you will make the subject in active voice as the object in passive voice. So the object in passive voice becomes the university. Next you need to write the adverb or any other word given in the sentence, that is today. Our next type is sentences with prepositional verb. What is sentences with prepositional verb, students? A sentence where verbs contain some common preposition along with it. prepositions such as in, or, by, among, with, etc. Students, if in the question there is a preposition with a verb, then in answer you need to write the same preposition after converting the verb into its past participle form. Students, let's clear it out with some of the examples. Students, our first example under sentences with prepositional verb is the birds picks at the flowers. Here the birds is the subject, picks is the verb, at is the preposition, and the flowers is the object. Students, now if we are asked to change this sentence into passive voice, according to the rule, we will first swap the subject and object. Here the subject in active voice is the birds, which will become our object in passive voice, and the flowers, which is the object in active voice, will become our subject in passive voice. After it, we need to check the verb given in active voice. The main verb we will check. Here the main verb is picks, P-E-A-K-S. So it is in simple present tense. As it is in simple present tense, we need to find out one of the to be form in simple present tense according to our new subject. As our new subject is plural, and we know that to be form of simple present tense are am, is, and are, so we have chosen are here. Next, we have to write the V3 or past participle form of the main verb. Here the main verb is pick, and the past participle form of pick is picked, P-E-C-K-E-D. And as we have a preposition after the main verb in active voice, we will copy the same preposition after the V3 form of the verb in passive voice. And next, we have to write a preposition by before the object the birds, which we usually do. So our answer is the flowers are picked at by the birds. Students, if you can remember, in assertive sentence, we used to follow 4 steps for converting active voice into passive voice. They were: number 1, swap the subject and object. Number 2, to choose the to be form of the given verb, and it should be according to our new subject. Number 3, it was to write the V3 form or past participle form of the main verb. And lastly, you used to write the preposition mostly by before the object. Students, here also we need to do the same, but the extra task or extra step we need to do here is to copy the preposition given after the verb in active voice after the V3 form of the verb in the passive voice. Students, our next example is she speaks to her friend. Here she is the subject, speaks is the verb, to is the preposition, and her friend is the object. Students, according to our rule, we need to swap the subject and object first. So the subject of active voice, that is she, becomes object, that is her, in the passive voice, because the objective form of she is her. Next, the object of active voice, which is her friend, becomes the subject of passive voice. After this, our second step is to check the verb given in active voice. Here the main verb in active voice is in simple present tense, because the structure of simple present tense is subject plus verb, that is the V1 form or the base form of the verb, and if our subject is third person singular, that is he, she, it, or any other singular name, then we add s or es or is with the verb. Here our subject is she, which is third person singular, that is why we have added s with the base form of the verb speak. So students, we have found out that our verb is in simple present. Now we need to choose a to be form of simple present tense according to our new subject. Our new subject here is her friend, which is singular. So our to be form of simple present tense are is, am, and are. As our subject is singular, so we have chosen is here. Now our next step, that is the third step, is to write V3 form of the main verb given in active voice. Here the main verb is speak, and V3 form of main verb speak is spoken, which we have written after is. Now we need to write the preposition already given in active voice after the V3 form of the verb. Here the preposition given after the verb is to, so we will write the preposition after the V3. Next we will do the last step, that is before the object we need to write a preposition by. Mostly we use by. So students, our answer is her friend is spoken to by her. Students, we all know that practice makes a man perfect. So we are going to see some more example under this type. Our next example is the boy laughed at the man. Here the boy is the subject, laughed is the verb, and at is the preposition, and the man is the object. Students, according to our rule, we need to swap the subject and object first. The subject of active voice is the boy, which will become the object of passive voice, and the object of active voice is the man, which will become the subject of passive voice. After this, our second step is to see the verb. Here the verb is laughed, which is in V2, because according to the structure of simple past, we have subject first, and after that we have V2, or the second form of the verb or past form of the verb. So we have now understood that the verb given in active voice is in simple past. So we have to choose a to be form of simple past. We know there are two to be form of simple past, that is was and were. As our new subject is the man, which is singular, that is why we have chosen was, was. Now we need to write the V3 form of the given verb in active voice. The given verb is loved, and we know love, loved, loved. So the V3 form is laughed. Next we need to copy the same preposition given in active voice after it. So we have written at after laughed, loved. Students, and our next step is to write a preposition mostly by before the object. Here the object is the boy, and we have written by before the boy. Students, our final answer becomes the man was laughed at by the boy. Our next example is he has worked out the answer. Students, here the subject is he, has is the helping verb, worked is the main verb, out is the preposition, and the answer is the object. So students, here also we need to do the same steps. We need to swap the subject and object. He is the subject in active voice, which becomes him in the objective form, and the answer, which is the object of active voice, becomes the subject of passive voice. Students, here also we need to follow the same steps. First we need to swap the subject and object. Here the subject in active voice is he, which will become him in objective case, and the object given in active voice is the answer, which will become the subject of passive voice. After this, we need to recognize the tense of verb given in active voice. Here the tense is in present perfect. Why, students, in present perfect? Because the structure of present perfect is subject plus has or have plus V3 or past participle form of the verb. Here the subject is he, so we have used has, because with third person singular we always use has. Next we have the past participle form of the verb walk, that is worked. Students, so we have recognized the tense is in present perfect. As we have perfect tense, so we need to write a been after has, have, or had. In perfect tense, as we have has here, we will write been after has. After that, we need to write the V3 form of the verb, which is already given in active voice, because after has, have, and had, we always use the V3 form in active voice, and it is already given, so we will copy the same verb after been. Students, next you can see there is a preposition, that is out, after the verb worked in active voice. You need to write the same preposition after the past participle form of the verb in passive voice. Next, the last step is to write a preposition by before the object of passive voice. So our final answer is the answer has been worked out by him. Now we will see the next sentence. Please keep off the grass. Here please is a requesting word, keep is a verb, off is a preposition, and the grass is our object in active voice. So students, we have discussed before that if you find please in the beginning of the sentence in active voice, then in passive voice you will always start with you are requested to, and copy the words which are there in active voice after please, that is keep off the grass. So our final answer is you are requested to keep off the grass. Students, now we will start with the next type, that is ditransitive verbs. Students, do you know the meaning of ditransitive verbs? Ditransitive verbs are those which take both a direct and an indirect object at the same time. For example, Sid gave the book to Mo. Here the subject is Sid, gave is the verb, the book is the direct object and Mo is the indirect object. If we ask the question to the verb that what is given, then we will get the answer the book. Thus, here the book is direct object, and if we ask to whom the book is given, then we will get the answer Mo. Therefore, Mo is indirect object. Students, now we will see some of the example of active voice which has two object of a verb in it, and we will see how to change this active voice into passive. Students, our first example under active voice is he gives me a haircut. Here he is the subject, gives is a verb, me is the indirect object and a haircut is the direct object. Why, students, a haircut is a direct object? Because if we ask question to the verb that what is given, then we will get a direct answer, a haircut. And if we ask to whom a haircut is given, we will get answer me. That is an indirect one. Therefore, me is the indirect object. Our active voice here is he gives me a haircut. He is the subject, gives is a verb, me is the indirect object and a haircut is the direct object. First we will see if we swap the subject with indirect object, then what will be in passive voice. Our indirect object here is me and the subject is he. So he becomes him in objective case and me becomes I in subjective case. And now we need to check the verb given in active voice. The verb given in active voice is in simple present. As it is in simple present, we need to choose a to be form of simple present according to our new subject I. The to be forms of simple present are am, is and are. As we have I, we will choose am with it. Now we need to write the V3 form of the given verb in active voice. The verb is give, which becomes given in V3 or past participle form. After writing the past participle form, as we have swapped the subject with indirect object, we will write the direct object after the verb, that is the participle form of the verb. So I am given a haircut. A haircut is the direct object. Next we will write a preposition before our object, that is him. So our final answer in this case is I am given a haircut by him. But student, if we swap the subject with the direct object, then we will see what happens in passive voice. Here the subject is he and the direct object is a haircut, which is the object of active voice, which will become our subject of passive voice if we swap with the subject, and he will become him in the objective case. So we will start with a haircut. Now we will check what is the verb in active voice. The verb given in active voice is in simple present tense, so we need to choose the to be form of simple present tense according to our new subject, that is a haircut. A haircut is a singular, therefore is will come as a to be of simple present tense. Next we have to write the V3 form of gives, that becomes given, given. Now as we have swapped the subject with the direct object, we need to write the indirect object. But before writing the indirect object, we have to write TO2. After writing TO2 after the past participle form of the verb, we will write me, which is our indirect object here, and at the end we will write by before the object of the passive voice. So our final answer is a haircut is given to me by him. The next example of this type is Ajay gave the pencil to Rita. Here Ajay is the subject, gave is the verb, the pencil is the direct object, to Rita, Rita is the indirect object. As there is two objects in this sentence, we can swap the subject with any one of these two objects. Let's start with the direct object. If we swap the subject with direct object, then the pencil will be our subject in passive voice and Ajay will be our object in passive voice. Now we need to check the tense of verb given in active voice. The tense of verb given in active voice is in simple past tense, because the structure of simple past tense is subject plus V2. Here subject is Ajay and V2 form of give is gave. So students, here the tense is in simple past tense, so we need to write the to be form of simple past tense. The to be form of simple past tense are was and were. As our new subject is singular, so we need to write was after it.
Now we need to write the V3 form of the given verb in active voice. Gave becomes given in V3. So we have written given. As we have swapped the subject with the direct object and we have not used the indirect object yet, so we need to write the indirect object after the past participle form of the verb given in active voice. That is, after given we will write to Rita, and next we will write a preposition, mostly we use by, and after it we will write the object, that is Ajay. So our final answer is the pencil was given to Rita by Ajay. Now students, if we interchange the subject with indirect object, in this particular sentence the indirect object is Rita and the subject is Ajay. If we swap these two, then Rita becomes our subject and Ajay becomes our object. After this we need to see the tense of verb given in active voice. As we have discussed before that in this sentence the tense of verb given in active voice is simple past tense, and we know the to be form of simple past tense are was and were, and as our subject is singular, so we have to use was after it. Next we have to write the V3 form or the past participle form of the verb given in active voice. GAVE, gave becomes GIVEN, given in the V3 or the past participle form. As we have swapped the subject with the indirect object, now we have to use the direct object after the V3 form, that is the pencil we have to write after the past participle form GIVEN, given. And after that we have to write a preposition, we mainly use by, and which we have to write before the object of our passive voice, that is Ajay. After this our final answer becomes Rita was given a pencil by Ajay. Now we will start with next type, that is interrogative sentence. Interrogative sentences are the sentences which ask question. This may start with WH word or any helping verb. For example, when shall we meet? Can you tell me about the place where Shakespeare was born? These two are interrogative sentence because these two sentences are asking question. Remember, if the question is interrogative, then the answer should also be interrogative. This means if the active voice is in interrogative, then the passive voice will also be in interrogative. Let's clear this all with some examples. Our first example of interrogative sentence in active voice is does he drink milk? Here does is the helping verb of simple present tense. We know that interrogative sentence always starts with a helping verb. Next we have he, which is the subject. Next we have drink, which is the verb, the main verb, and we have the object of the main verb milk, and we ended up with a question mark as this sentence is a interrogative sentence. Now students, if we are asked to convert this sentence into passive voice, then we will do in the similar manner we used to do in assertive sentence. The first step is to swap the subject and object. Our subject here is he, which will become him in the objective case, and milk will become our subject in the passive voice. Now we need to check the tense given in active voice. As I discussed that the tense given in active voice is in simple present tense, so we need to choose the to be form of simple present tense. The to be form of simple present tense are is, am and are. As our subject is milk, which is singular, therefore we will choose is, and we will write is before milk, because in interrogative sentence we always write the helping verb before the subject. Next we will write the V3 form of the given verb in active voice. In active voice we have drink, drink, which becomes drunk in V3 or the past participle form of drink is drunk. Next we will write the preposition which we always use, that is by. Next we will write the object him, which is the subjective form of active voice. Now we will see the final answer. Our final answer is milk drunk by him. So like this you can convert or change an active voice in interrogative sentence to a passive one. Now we will go through some more example of this type. Do you want it? Here do is the helping verb of simple present tense. You is the subject, want is the main verb, and it is the object of the verb want. So if we are to change this sentence into passive one, then we will first swap the subject and object. You, which is subject in the active voice, will become our object in passive voice, and it, which is the object in active voice, will become our subject in passive voice. After this, we will check for the tense of the verb. If we see do plus subject plus V1 is a structure of simple present tense. So we have to take a to be form of simple present tense. We know the to be form of simple present tense are is, am and are. Here, as our subject is it, so we have to take a singular to be form of simple present tense, that is. Next, we have to write the V3 form of the verb given in active voice. The verb given in active voice is in V1, that is want, and want becomes wanted in V3. So after it, we have written the V3 form of the verb given in active voice. After that, we will add a preposition by before the object you. So our final answer in passive voice will become is it wanted by you.
Our next example under interrogative sentence in active voice is can they solve this? Here can is the modal auxiliary, they is the subject of the sentence, solve is the verb, and this is the object of the verb solve. Now if we are asked to change this sentence into passive voice, we will see that active voice is starting with the modal auxiliary, and we know that we need not to change the modal auxiliary in passive voice, but we have to bring a be after it. As it is an interrogative sentence, so we will bring be after the subject of the passive voice. To get the subject of the passive voice, we need to swap the subject and object of active voice. Here in active voice, the subject is they, which will become the object of passive voice, and the objective form of they is them. So we have written them as the object of passive voice, and here this is the subject, which is the object of active voice. Now we need to write be after it, as we have got the subject of passive voice. After subject of passive voice, that is this, we have written be. Now we need to write the V3 form of the main verb. Here the main verb is solved, so the V3 form or the past participle form of solve is solved, SOLVED. After that, we need to write a preposition by by before the object, and we need to end this sentence with a question mark. As our question in active voice was in interrogative, so our passive voice will also be in interrogative.
Our next example under interrogative sentence in active voice is what do you want? Here what is a WH word, do is the helping verb, you is the subject, and want is the main verb. And as this one is a question, so it ends with a question mark. If we are asked to change this sentence into passive voice, then as our active voice begins with WH word, so our passive voice will also begin with WH word. After that, if you see that in active voice there is no object but there is the subject of active voice will become the object of passive voice, and as there is no object in the active voice, we will consider the subject of passive voice to be what, that is a singular subject. After that, we will check for the tense of verb given in active voice. If we see, then we will find that the tense of verb given in active voice is in simple present tense, because the structure of simple present tense is in interrogative sentence helping verb plus subject plus V1 form, which matches with the given active voice. Now we will write the to be form of simple present tense in the passive voice. The to be form of simple present tense are am, is, and are. As our subject in the passive voice is WH word, so according to the subject, which is singular, we need to write a singular to be form. So our singular to be form is. So we have written is after word. After that, we need to write the V3 form or past participle form of the main verb given in active voice. The main verb given in active voice is want, which becomes wanted in the past participle form, or V3 form of want is wanted. After that, we will write a preposition before our object in passive voice. Our preposition here is by, and we will end this question with a question mark because it is a interrogative sentence. Our final answer under passive voice is what is wanted by
you. Now next question under interrogative sentence in active voice is what shall we eat now? Here what is the WH word? Next we have shall, which is the helping verb, we is the subject here, and it is the main verb, and now is the adverb of time. Now students, if we are asked to change this sentence into passive voice, then students, as the active voice is starting with what, so we will begin passive voice with what. After this, if we check, then we will find in active voice there is a subject but no object. The subject of active voice, that is we, will become the object of passive voice, but we know the objective form of we is us, so the object of passive voice will be us. After this, as we don't have an object of active voice, we will consider WH word as the subject of passive voice. After this, we need to check the tense of verb given in active voice. If we check, then we will find it is given in simple future tense. As in interrogative sentence, the structure of simple present tense is shall or will plus subject plus the V1 form of the verb, which matches with the given structure in active voice. Now students, we know the to be form of simple future tense is will be or shall be. As our subject here is what, so we will write will be with it according to the subject. The V3 form or the past participle form of the main verb in active voice, that is eat, becomes eaten in the past participle form. So we have written eaten after will be. After that, we need to write a preposition, that is by, before the object of the passive voice. The object of the passive voice is us, and before it we have written by. Students, you can see in active voice there is a adverb of time, that is now. We need to write that same adverb of time in passive voice also, but we will write after the object, and we will end the sentence with a question mark because this sentence is an interrogative sentence. So our final answer in passive voice is what will be eaten by us now. Students, our next example in active voice is have you served dinner? Here have is the helping verb, you is the subject, served served is the V3 form, that is the main verb, and dinner is the object of the main verb served. You will find this interrogative sentence is starting with the helping verb have, not with any WH word, and you will find that here the dinner is served or not, that is the important thing. Who is serving the dinner is not important. In such a case, you can avoid the object of passive voice. To change this sentence into passive voice, we will first swap the subject and object. First, we will see that the subject of active voice is you, which will be the object of passive voice. But student, I have discussed before that here the object of passive voice is not important, so you can skip this step. After that, you will see the object of active voice is dinner, which will become the subject of passive voice. After this, we need to check the tense of the verb given in active voice. You will see the tense in the active voice is in present perfect tense, because in interrogative sentence the structure of present perfect tense is has or have plus subject plus V3 form of the verb. So we need to write the to be form of the present perfect tense in the passive voice. We know that if there is a perfect tense in active voice, then the to be form will be been. Here we will write been after the subject, and before the subject we have to write has or have. As our active voice is in present perfect tense, so we need to write has or have as the helping verb in passive voice. As our subject dinner is singular, so we have written has. As with the third person singular we use has, and for the other subject we use have. After this, we need to write the V3 form after been. Here the V3 form is already given, that is served. So we will write served, and we will end this sentence with a question mark. Our last example of interrogative sentence in active voice is who wrote the Ramayana? Here who is the WH word, wrote is the verb, and the Ramayana is the object of the verb. Students, always remember, if our active voice starts with a WH word, you will find the same WH word in the beginning of the passive voice. But there is an exception. If our active voice starts with who, then the passive voice will start with by whom. Students, after this we will check for the subject and object in the active voice. You will see that there is a object, that is the Ramayana, but no subject. The object of the active voice will become the subject of the passive voice. So the subject of the passive voice is the Ramayana. Now we will check for the verb, that is the tense of verb. Here the verb is wrote and the tense of verb is past tense, that is simple past tense. So we need to write the to be form of simple past tense. We know the to be form of simple past tense are was and were. As our new subject in passive voice is the Ramayana, which is singular, so we need to choose the singular to be form, that is was. As this sentence is in interrogative sentence, so we will write was before the subject the Ramayana, as we write the helping verb before the subject in interrogative sentence. And lastly, we will write the V3 form of the verb given in the active voice. The verb given in active voice is wrote and the V3 form or past participle form of wrote is written. We will write written and we will end this sentence with a question mark, as it is an interrogative sentence. With this, we come to the end of interrogative sentences.
My dear students, some of you may be thinking that is there any shortcut for active passive voice? Yes students, there is a shortcut. The shortcut is active passive ARTI. Let's hear this ARTI or song or mantra.
ARTI? Absolutely simple, my friends. Here it goes. From active to passive voice. Present tense active, am is are passive, past tense inactive, was were and passive. Fantastic! I can prove it every time. Look at that. Helps. Present tense active, am or is or are in the passive, and past tense inactive, was or were in the passive. Absolutely, my friends. Will shall in active, will shall be passive, have as in active, have as been passive. Terrific, my friends. Will in the active, can you see? Will be in the passive, and similarly, have or has in the active, have you seen? Have been or has been in the passive. Had in active, had been in passive, will have in active, will have been passive. So simple, my dear friends. Rahul had helped Tina, had in active, had been in the passive, and same way, will have in active, will have been in the passive. Am is are active, am is are being passive, was were in active, was were being passive. This is so easy, my dear friends. Am is are active, so if you see is in the active, is being in the passive. Same way with am or is or are. And if you see was or were in the active, you will have was being or were being in the passive. My dear friends, this brings us to the end. Active से passive तक इतना ही करना और doer को तुम non-doer करना. And that's this amazing ARTI. How we are going to use this ARTI to change from active to passive and vice versa.
This we come to the end of the second part. In the third part, we will continue with question answer series, and we will be solving this question answer with the help of the shortcut, that is active passive ARTI. So students, thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned, enjoy your studies, enjoy your life, and keep watching ICSE English Solution from Prudence Coaching.